all of you.
Hello. Warm welcome. Hello, Alessandra. Long time no seen. Hello, James, Simon, Elisa, and Lisa.
Hello.
Yes, if you want to, please put on your camera so we can all be here together. Hello. All righty, let's go ahead and get started.
Hello, do we have all of them here? Shall we start, as you say, Natalie?
Yeah, let's go ahead
We're
and
still
people can
waiting for
trickle
someone.
in. Yeah.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking part to this workshop. My name is Adriana. I work for the product support team for the Spanish, Italian, and English market. And today, together with Natalie and Philip, we're going to actually show you our timeline and how this can help you out to keep track of your projects. So it is important for us to set the intentions of this workshop. We are doing this because we want to help you to add value to your business. We want to provide a space to network with your co-workers and colleagues, but also with us. So it's a great occasion to get to know us. We want this to be a place and a safe space where you can share your ideas to help us improve also our software. And we want to understand, actually, we want to help you understanding how Pro features can actually support your business and help you to get to more clients in the future. So for today's agenda, we are going to look at the power of the timeline, as we said previously. We are going to look at how this can help you keep track of your project and why your brain would love to have a structured timeline over the method you are currently using, maybe. And also after this introduction, we are going to demo the feature. So we're going to look at the feature in details. And last but not least, we're going to also ask you what your takeaways are and also how we did today. So we're going to start with a little exercise that is just a group discussion, so don't get too stressed about it. And I'm going to hand it over to Natalie for this section of the presentation.
Perfect. I think most of you already know me, but for you who are new, my name is Natalie. I am the product support manager here in the UK. I would love for you to, on Zoom at the bottom, if you can find the chat function, maybe type in the city that you are calling from, so we all understand that you are here. You can interact with us. As Adriana said, we want this to be an interactive sessions where you are the one actually providing answers to the questions that I am posting here as well. So we have Hull, Dorset, Bath, Somerset, Manchester, London, amazing. So a few different places today. In terms of the power of the timeline, so in your own words, how would you describe a timeline? What is a timeline for you? And this is not a question in terms of right and wrong, it's just what is a timeline for you? Program of events, yeah. What else? A list of sequence of events. What is your definition of a timeline? And then the next question would be, what is the benefits of having a timeline from a business perspective? What is the benefit of having a timeline from a business perspective? So keeping on track, yeah, on top of the project. What else? What's the benefits from a business perspective of having a timeline? Sequencing, yeah. To keep track of what's happening in the project and being able to plan ahead. Yes. Alrighty, in terms of the benefits from a client's perspective, why do we create a timeline and what's the value and the benefits from a client's perspective? So from a business perspective, is that to be able to keep a product on track, to keep them in the know, yeah, keep them informed. What else? And what's the feeling? So if I'm feeling informed, what would be the benefits, both from your perspective and from a client's perspective? Create trust, yeah, and a bit more calmness, right? I feel like I know what's going on, hence I don't need to stress too much and I don't need to ask a lot of questions, have control of the project. Perfect. Yeah, so many good things. Alrighty, so what's the risk of not creating a timeline? So we saw a lot of the benefits in terms of keeping trust, knowing what's going on, keeping track on the progress. What's the risk of not creating a timeline? For you who are new in the session, please find the chat function at the bottom of Zoom and help us answering the questions that are coming up here. Lose control or missing events when tasks are completed. Yeah, what else? Anxiety, stress for the client, which then usually cause stress for us as a business owner as well, right? If the client feeling anxious. Alrighty, so we know now what the benefits are. We know now what the risks are of not creating a timeline. So now comes the question, and again, there is no right and wrong. I just want you to check in with yourself. How do you create a timeline currently? Or maybe the question is also like, do you create a timeline? And as with everything here, there is no right and wrong answers. It's just for you to create awareness of your current way of working and a potential better way of working as well. I have a diary set up, a spreadsheet, calendar planner, Excel. Yeah, a lot of different things in terms of processes around creating a timeline. Many lists, a bit of Excel, using the Houzz Pro timeline. Perfect. Alrighty, in terms of keeping track of the project, that's one thing that the timeline can help us do. I know that we had that in the chat as well. How do you currently keep track on the progress that you're doing in the project with the way that you're using your timeline today? So we had someone using the calendar planner, some of you are using Excel, some of them are having different lists. How do you keep track of the progress in your current way of working with your timeline? Do you like check them off? Do you color code things? What do you do? Crossing off, perfect. What else? Or do you just keep tasks the same way, even if they're completed? So you just have your list and you go down, like what do you do? A diary list, yeah. Task listed and ticked off. Perfect, thank you for sharing. Alrighty, in terms of the team members, subcontractors, and your clients, how do you make sure that they are all on the same page? So how do you make sure that the stakeholders of the project are all on the same page in terms of the events that will happen during a project? So how do you share, I guess, your list or your timeline with the other stakeholders? Emails, CC when appropriate. Everybody gets a copy of the same program, Google Docs, communicate updates and changes through emails or WhatsApp. So a lot of emails, a lot of texts, yes. And when things doesn't go as planned, which tend to happen during a renovation projects, I know that A lot of you can sign off on this one. How do you alter a plan if a task gets delayed? So in your current way of working, how do you alter the plan? And is your current way of working allowing for life to happen? So for you who has a diary, I know there is a lot of just like writing down on pen and paper. Do you then need to like cross things off and then rewrite them again? Or is your current process allowing you to make amendments? Amend the change and under appropriate tasks and sections. Yeah. What else? How do you alter the plan of your current timeline? And is your current process allowing you to quickly alter the plan? Really difficult to keep everyone on the same revision. Yeah, it is, right? And sometimes, like we said, we're sending emails, we're sending WhatsApp messages. And then if you need to like scroll up and down to see, are we actually on the same one? Are we looking on the same one? Or is someone looking on an old timeline, old version of it, for example? I know that we touched base on this one a little bit before, but how do you communicate updates with on the timeline with clients? This is also done over email or WhatsApp, or is this done in a meeting, or is this something done online? So we have emails. We also have an answer on the previous question, creating new tasks in different sections, sending out emails. Yeah. Alrighty, so in terms of your brain and why it loves to have a structured timeline. So I think one thing that we are forgetting is really the power of color coding sometimes. And this can also be done if you're using Excel, right? And this is something that Adriana will show us later on how it can be done on the Houzz Pro timeline as well. The color coding allows us to get a quick overview in terms of what's going on. You are the one who get to decide how you're using the power of color coding for your timeline. For example, should I assign all my plumbing task to a specific color? Maybe that's blue for water, so it's easy to remember. Or maybe all the electric task will be yellow. Will a specific team member have a specific tasks or a specific color? And again, when you like see the overview, you can quick and easy see just by looking at the color what's going to happen this week. So how do you currently differentiate the tasks assigned to different team members or workers? Do you have a way for you to quick and easy get this overview? Or is everything in the same font, the same color, the same size? Or do you have a system that gives you a quick overview? Anyone working with color pens, or is everything just the same one? And again, there is no right and wrong. It's just being aware of your current way of working and being open to maybe trying a new way that might help you more. So have a visual setup system with everyone listed and what they do and when. What else? And I think as well, especially as an interior designer, like you're so creative and so visual. So really like use that gift for yourself as well with the timeline to make sure that it's fun to look at, right? It's pretty easy to understand. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a lot of text, but even the color can give us a lot of information, right? So in terms of that structured timeline, another power that the brain loves is, again, the visual aspects. It also helps us stay motivated, and it gives us a proof of achievement whenever we can tick things off as done, right? I know we spoke about the task last week, and the timeline is like the second step. So we have the task, that's basically everything that we list out that we need to do. And the timeline is when we put all those tasks into the calendar and assign a date for them, which helps us increase productivity, provides motivation, improves transparency, both for yourself and for the rest of the team in terms of what happens when. It reduces stress. It also increases your professionalism. You're looking more professional to your client when you can give them this timeline, again, a full plan of the project. Reduce anxiety from their perspective as well. Provide a sense of accomplishment whenever you can tick things off, and you're setting the deadline to each goal. So in terms of the timeline on Houzz, Adrienne, I'm going to pass over the mic to you again.
So for today's features regarding the timeline, we're going to look at the two versions that we have of the timeline, the calendar and the Gantt view. We're going to look at how we add items to a timeline, how we create dependency, and how we share a timeline with, of course, with your clients, subcontractors, and team members. And also we will look at how your clients will see the timeline on their end. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We are gonna catch up with them later on. So now let me share my screen and let's start with our demo. Okay, so this is our timeline. This timeline is already, let's say, built on because it's for a project that we are working on for one of our clients, Eileen. Eileen is a professional and married woman that is looking to renovate her kitchen. And the reason why she's renovating the kitchen is because she's also growing a family. So they're going to have kids. So what she wants to do, she wants to make more room between the kitchen and the living room. So she's going to basically break down the walls that separates the two rooms and make like a bigger space where she can work and look after her kids and together with her husband, of course. As you can see, the timeline, as first of all, the first thing that you notice, I believe, is the fact that the timeline has different colors, right? We're going to look at this later on, but color coding is powerful, as Natalie said. Each color code is linked to a specific task. In my case, the first color, the first color, there's like reddish pink, is related to my team, while the second one is related to the builders, and the third one is blue, because it reminds me of water and is of course linked to the plumbers. Second thing I want to show you is, of course, how to switch between the Gantt view and the calendar view. As you have probably understood, this is the Gantt view, but for most of you used to the calendar version of the timeline, it's really easy to switch between the two of them. All you have to do is taking your mouse to the right corner of the screen, click on Gantt view, and you will see you have two options here. If we click on calendar view, as you can see, the calendar will look pretty similar to your actual calendar, maybe your Google Calendar. And if you want to go back into the Gantt view, which is the one I personally prefer, you just have to click back on it and go into your calendar view. But or your Gantt view. So how do we add items on our timeline? Pretty easy. As you have noticed, we have different buttons here that are highlighted in blue. These are the call to action buttons. And here we have a button that says add item. You click on there and you will have a pop-up with different fields that are really easy to fill in. All you have to do is just hover over the field, click on it. It will be highlighted. You can just delete the name and just start typing. In this case, I would just say final meeting. And you can choose the location. In my case, it will be hiding house. And I just want to catch up with my team to have a wrap up of the work that has been done and to check if everything's gone as we wanted it to go. And then we can show our work done to our client. So Here we have the status. I saw in the chat before that it's really important for you to check is the status of your task is done or not, is completed or not. So with the status, you can choose, of course, if it's completed or open. In this case, we're going to leave it open, but I'm going to show you in a minute how we can mark it as complete. Later down here, if we scroll down a little bit, we got the assignee button. Because I want to warn all of my team and also the client, all I'm going to do is just tick all of them if I want, myself as well. And they will be notified with an email once the item will be saved. Here we have the date, so you can choose if you wanted to start in the same day or finishing later on. Let's say we want to have a brainstorm of 2 days. And underneath here, you can choose the task color. As I said before, the pinkish one is the color that is linked to my team. So I'm going to choose this color for this phase. And here we have sub items. So it's really easy. You can just start already to create a sub items, or if you want, you can go back later on into the phase and add the sub item in another moment. But because I want to add it now, I'm just going to click on add new. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the name, of course, and I'm just going to call it as a brainstorm. And in this case, as a description, I'm going to add catch up with the team over the work done. Catch up with the team and the homeowner. So again, you can choose the assignee, and again, you can choose the time, and you can also choose the dependency. So when you want it to start, if you want it to start after none, or if you want it to end before none, it really depends on how many and on how many sub items you have created. While you type in,
one question there, Adriana. What would you say is the benefits of doing a dependency?
Because the dependency will basically give you a more structured timeline. So you know that if you want to reach a goal, you have to create different tasks, right? And for it to work, for you to work your goal, you have to complete all those tasks. For example, the first case here is the first phase in my case was the brainstorming, right? In order for us to reach the end and to reach the final meeting, right, I have to complete different tasks, which is the design concept, and then the furniture, and then the meeting with the builders, etc. So it's important to be structured, and the dependency will help you to be structured with your work. So it will help you out to be more efficient and it will help you out to work towards your goal.
And what will happen if there is a delay? And what happens if I don't have a dependency? And what happens if I have created a dependency?
Okay, so if you have created a dependency or anything, that's pretty easy. All you have to do is just you can either just click on the phase you're working on and edit the dates here. If you scroll down, or even easier, you can just close the pop-up, click on the item you want to move or there is a delay on, and just drag it around the calendar and drop it whenever the dependency or task is starting again. You leave it there, and wherever there is a dependency, the dependencies will move on with that, because we know that if the dependency depend on that item, of course, as the words say.
So I saw that you were like delaying the start here as well. What happens if the start have happened, but the end date has now been pushed? So rather than taking 1 week, it's going to take 2 weeks. Is there a way to reflect that in the timeline?
Yes, even there, you can either, again, click on the phase as we saw before. I'm going to show you again just to make it easier for you to understand, or if you missed it, just click on it and the pop-up that we saw before will appear, and you can change it here. You can change the end date here if you prefer, or the way I prefer doing it is just hover over the end of the task and just click on it, drag it, and drop it where the task is going to end. And as you can see, all the dependency will move with that. But in this case, because the design concept doesn't depend on or from the first task, this one stays where it is. However, even if you want to move this, it's easy again. You can just click on it, choose the date if you want, or click, drag, and drop. Any other questions?
Do we have any questions on the dependency?
Yeah.
Because I know that this one is a big one in terms of the timeline. So does it make sense? Basically what I'm saying is this task depends on the first task. If the first task is delayed, the second task will also be delayed. So the second task can only start if the first task is finished. For example, the plumber needs to be done with his work before the tiler comes in. And if the plumber is being 2 days delayed, then the tiling guy will also be pushed 2 days. And that will all happen automatically if I created a dependency. Clear so far?
Same thing here.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Okay, something I wanted to show you is how you mark a dependency or a task as complete. Easy, just click on the item and change the status. So in this case, you can just click mark it as completed. And in this case, again, you don't need to save anything because it will be automatically saved, and it will be notified as well to the people you have shared your timeline with. So another thing I wanted to show you, as you can see on the left-hand side, we have all of our sub-items and tasks with some initials here. So you can see already straight from your timeline, and your client can see it as well, who is on charge for that task. So, but how do we do that? So how do we share that? It's pretty easy. You can either click on share, or you can click on the icons here. When you click on the icons or on the share button, you will have a new pop-up, and you will see that you can either grant the access to your client. And in this case, the access can be either a basic access where the client can just only see main items without the sub items, or you can grant your clients a detailed access or no access at all. I saw before that this was an important feature because it's really hard for you to keep everyone aware of what is going on. So this is great because everybody will be notified, and everybody will be on the same track, because it will be shared with the people you want to share the timeline with. And by default, your timeline will be shared with your team members that have access to the project. Same, you can either grant, you can also grant the access to your subcontractors and suppliers. When you click on that, you can, of course, change the status with access. And when we leave the pop-up, as you can see, we have different icons next to project timeline. Do we have any questions so far regarding the sharing button? I can't hear, Natalie, you're on mute.
In terms of the icon, if I hover over each one of them, does it tell me what they are for? The blue, the green, and the red one?
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Yes, it does. We got the red one that says subcontractor, green one team members, and this one that is the client dashboard. So what is the client dashboard? The client dashboard is basically how your client will see the project you're working on. And if you're curious to see how your client will actually, how it looks on your client end, all you have to do is clicking on preview client dashboard. When you click on there, my internet today is a bit slow, so bear with me. You will see right away from the home page the timeline that is loading. Let me see if I can actually, just a little patience, maybe here.
I have one question that is coming in that you might be able to show us after we have seen how it looks from a client's perspective. And it's where we add the contact details for the subcontractors.
Oh, that will be added at the, let me just fit this. Okay.
So show us this
is,
first and then we can address the question.
Yeah. So again, this is how your client will see the timeline. They can also close this down, so it will be easier for them to look at them.
And this one here, Adri, would you
Yeah.
need to share it every single time when you make an amendment, or will the timeline in the client dashboard be a live link?
No, you don't need to share it all the time. Once you share it once, there will be it. You will need to make any other adjustment or share it more than once. But the client will be notified each time there is a change or you have assigned something to the client. I highly recommend to assign phases or status to your client every time you need the client to have or to give an opinion over a task or over something you're working on. In regards to the question of the subcontractors, you can click on invite subcontractors here. And once you click here, you can choose the subcontractor if you have it already on your Houzz Pro account. Or if you haven't added it yet, add them yet, you can just click on invite new subcontractor or supplier. And if we click here, we will manage to add the contact details of the subcontractors.
Perfect. And in terms of the client, do they need to have a Houzz account in order to see the client dashboard and the timeline there?
No, they don't. You can share it via a link and they will receive it over email. And all they have to do is just clicking on that link and the link doesn't expire. So they can keep the link saved somewhere on the desktop.
And how would it be for the subcontractors? Would they need to have a Houzz account?
No, it would be the same. None of them needs to have a Houzz account. None of them needs to pay to see the timeline. So it's very accessible, easy to manage, and easy to use.
Perfect.
Any other question?
Yes. What other questions do we have on the timeline?
I'll stop sharing for a moment. So if there are no more questions, let's jump. We're nearly to the end of our. Okay. Now we have a couple of questions for you.
Okay, one more question from Elisa. Can the client communicate directly with the subcontractors?
Unless you as a professional don't share the contact details, no, the client should not be able to communicate with the subcontractors. It's a matter of privacy as well.
Elisa, you can, I think you are on mute already. Do you want to just talk a little bit about what the use case will be for the client to be able to communicate with the subcontractors? You don't need to type, you can just speak. I think you are unmuted.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, yeah, perfect. I can hear
you. No, because obviously we have to enter the details of the subcontractor onto the house. So then I just thought the client therefore has got that person's details and therefore could communicate directly with them.
Would that be helpful for you? Is that something that you would like them to be able to do or not?
I'd rather not, so I stay in the loop.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if that could be possible, knowing that the details are on the system, or they don't have access to that detail because it's only myself. So I just wondered.
Yeah, so like Adriana said, the data that you enter into the system is only for you to have in the system, and it's not going to be shared with the other stakeholders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Any other questions? All good? Okay, Audrey.
Okay, so guys, now that you have discovered the timeline, we have a couple of questions for you. We want you to write on the chat, on a scale from 1 to 10, how confident you are to start using the timeline in the future. Think about what we wrote.
We have 5 and 5 and 10 coming in.
Oh, nice. That's good. Like the number.
8.
Okay.
Just need to practice. And 8.
Yeah. Tell us also, for you who is not a 10, what would it take for you to get to a 10?
So we have a need to actually do it and see how I get on with it. Same, yes.
Good point.
And as with everything that we learn, it's going to be difficult in the beginning, easier the more we practice. What we practice, we become good at, right?
And also something really important, how would using timeline improve your workflow? Natalie, can you read the answer for me? Because I
and stress, keeping everyone in the loop, so get to sleep better at night. Yeah. And as with everything, it's always, like we said, be aware of your current way of working, stay open to new possibilities, try them, see if they work for you, practice, 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 and then check in with the benefits, right? More efficiency than the system I use right now. Yeah. And more alignment with reduced stress and sleeping better at night. My only reservation is getting the builder to actually log, what's going on. So Alessandra there, know that yes, you can rely on the builder to close whatever they are working on in terms of the tasks, but you are also able to do it on their behalf should they not log in the system, just like the way you're doing it today. I think when you are really organized, the builders respect you more. Yeah. And maybe you respect yourself more. Yeah. And maybe your clients also respect you more. So a lot of positivity of staying organized. Yeah.
So before we go to the final part of our presentation, there is something I wanted to show you. 1 second.
That the subcontractors might not check an online system. Doriana, if you are still in your demo account, is there a way to print the timeline?
Absolutely. All right, so I was about to go back here. So you do have the option to print it. All you have to do is clicking on more option and clicking on export as. And you have the option to print the full Gantt view or the current Gantt view. So if you want to just have like a snapshot of the current view that you're having now at the moment on the screen, you can just choose that, or you want to print it all, you can choose that either. You can also choose the format, if it's a PNG, like an image, or a PDF, like a simple text. And once you're done, you can just click on export. Natalie, you're on mute.
Question there on the view. You said that you can print either the full Gantt view or the current Gantt view. So with the current one, will that be possible to like print the next upcoming week, for example? Or how would I be able to do that?
So the current view will be basically what you see on the screen. So it will print out like all this month. For example, if the task is extending to January, it will print the whole thing. And that's pretty much it. So yeah.
Is there a way that I can print just the next week?
Don't think so. Let me see.
I'm thinking if you are using the Zoom one and then zooming into just the next week. So if you're making it more zoomed in, so if you drag it all the way to the left.
It's not, it's taking me somewhere else. It's not what I'm looking for.
If you click on today, maybe.
Okay.
And then if you
That's
zoom all the way to the left,
maximum.
to the other left. That's right. And
it doesn't, no.
So here we can see this would be the next week, right? For example. So November, whatever we have there. So by using the Zoom function, you should be able to print whatever task you have planned for the upcoming week, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, because what would you do? Like you would zoom it, then you will click on more options, export as, and again the current view, and then choose the file format.
Perfect.
Something I wanted to show you before in regards to some of you that don't feel confident with the timeline. You have different options here, different help button. So first of all, there's this little eye icon that will bring you straight into a video that would show you how to create a timeline. So if you don't feel confident with that, there is this video tutorial you can rely on. But there is also on the very top on the search bar, this is the bar that sticks every time, wherever you are within Houzz Pro, there is the support button. You can click here, and you can either call the support or submit a support ticket. And me, Natalie, Viviana, and all our team will be there to answer as soon as we can. So we will be there to help you, and we can also schedule some one-to-one training calls. Okay. So if there are no more questions, we can jump into actually, we have arrived to the last part of our presentation. 1 second. We think it's really important for us to know what are your takeaways from today's session. So we really want you to share it with us. So feel free to write in the chat what's your little feedback from today, and also what you think you have learned out of this experience. Also, we will send you a full question survey because we really want to know how we did today. Philip is gonna copy and paste the link into the chat so you can click on it and fill in the form. Philip, do you have the link? Yes.
Just a second. I got it in just a second. Sorry.
No problem.
Are we waiting for the link? Let's see what your takeaways are. Great job about a new alternative to organize a job. Yeah, that's a great learning. What else? What is your top takeaways from today's session? What are you taking with you? Love the color coding, simple and effective. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't need to be rocket science and earth breaking every single time we're changing something. It can just be color coding, and even with your own current system, right? Even if there's pen and paper, can you use colors in order to make it more fun to look at? Important to keep everyone up to date. Yeah, super important. What else? Good to have tasks integrated with the previous week guidelines. Yes. Perfect. Okay, so Philip have dropped the link to the 4-question survey. It's the questions in terms of what you're interested in learning more about moving forward. So please take the 2 minutes to fill that out so that we know how we can support you moving forward as well. And next week, you will be invited over email to an in-person event, which will take place the 2nd of December. If you are in London, or if you would like to travel to London to the office and actually meet us in real life, we will show the new feature, which is email marketing. And we will also go over the client dashboard in a bit more detail. So keep that in mind. The 2nd of December will be the in-person event. The invitation will come in the next couple of days. And yeah, talk to everyone soon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your day and hopefully see you next week. Cheers.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.